you're doing masters in computer science. Now you have to again convince employers that, hey, I'm really actually good PM.
There is something called built-in, then there is like APM list, which is a GitHub maintained repo, then there is angel.co. So there are like a lot of like these nascent boards where jobs are posted along with LinkedIn as well.
So within the first 3-4 weeks, you are like actually doing mock interviews, even though you don't have interview scheduled. Well, you're like, okay, I'm gonna just deep dive into this. Did you have any other offers then?
Yes, I had 2 offers.
It's so fascinating that you double down on interview prep more than getting an interview. Why is that?
I had about 8 interview calls.
Oh, wow.
I know you're going through a very difficult phase right now, like job hunting might be slightly difficult, but at the end of the day, you are just looking for one opportunity. It was very interesting. The first interview that I ever got was like within the first week.
Before we dive into all the strategies and stories that we're going to discuss in this podcast, let me ask you this. Do you have a clear job hunting strategy to get an internship or a full-time job? Most people don't, and it's costing them opportunities. I've helped over 1,100 students with their strategies through my ultimate job hunting course.
And trust me, I'm not even kidding. I could see so many recruiters viewing my profile.
And it's been the best investment I've ever made.
The content is incredibly practical, filled with tips and strategies that make you stand out to recruiters.
It was one of the best courses that I have done till date.
This course covers everything that you need to stand out. You will get ultimate resume course, you will get ultimate LinkedIn course, networking strategy, access to 1,100 plus job seekers for support, and personal support from me through WhatsApp group. I will walk you through every single step that you need with real examples and the tools that will give you an edge. I don't want you to miss any other opportunity to land your next job or an internship. So check the link in the description. And now I will let you enjoy the podcast. Thank you, Shreemad, for doing this. I am excited. Product managers are obviously my favorite because I am one, and I like to learn how did you get to product management. So obviously that's the theme of this podcast. But before we get into all of that, let's do like a quick intro. Where are you from? When did you come to United States? What did you do? And then what are you doing right now?
Got it. First of all, thank you so much for inviting me. Really grateful to have this opportunity to share my story. So about me, I am from Surat, Gujarat, which is very well known for its diamond processing and a lot of good food.
Yes, I
I
was like diamond processing, but then you said good food as well. So I was like, that should come first.
Yep, good food as well. So I came to the US in August of 2021. I pursued my master's in computer science at Arizona State University, and I did that for about 3 semesters, and I graduated early in December 2022. And then since then I've been working as a full-time product manager at eBay with the pricing and monetization team.
Very interesting that you moved from, I mean, also very relatable. I did computer science, moved from computer science to project management and now product. You are taking the same path. You also did computer science. You graduated as a computer science, but now you are a product manager. I mean, you
Yeah.
got a job as a product manager. So I guess I know I said the theme is like how to get a job as a product manager, but maybe we can also talk about how did you transition, because that is the hardest part, like to transition from computer science to product. And I know a lot of my audience and people in my job hunting course, they are also like, how do we do this? So this will be great that we can discuss this.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think like before I share how I got into product, I'll tell a little bit of a backstory. So
Mm,
I did my undergrad in information and communication technology. So
mm,
that it's a amalgamation of computer science, IT, and also a little bit of electronics. So and throughout that undergrad, I had a lot of exposure to how do you build systems, but then how do you also like make sure they are applicable to real life.
mm.
And in like a lot of courses that I took, for example embedded hardware, like at back in 2017 I was working on like a gesture controlled wheelchair where we would just talk to people, what is their usage and how can we help them get better. That was like very exciting to me, but I did not know that product is a label for
That
that.
is the early signs of product, like you empathizing with user and trying to solve a problem for them. Yeah.
Exactly. And then the first internship that I ever had after my undergrad was a product marketing manager.
Mm,
And that was a really interesting one. I was involved in understanding the product's functionalities and making sure it's much more understandable, more consumable by a larger audience and our target consumers. And that was very very fruitful for me to learn that, hey, this is product and this is very exciting. The kind of conversations that I always had during that product marketing management internship was really cool. All the peers, all my managers were very excited, and like the energy was so good that I was like, okay, this is something that I want to do for a
Hmm.
long time.
Hmm.
Then I did about a year as an analyst in ad tech technology, where I was like working in the publisher side of ad tech business, making sure that like likes of Zynga or like game developers make sure they
This
get
is all in
ads.
India, right? This is
Yes,
all in India. Okay. So you had one internship as a product marketing manager after your undergrad,
yeah,
and then you got a full-time job as a analyst
yeah.
in this ed tech. Okay. And then continue. Yeah.
Yes, yes. So back then, I was involved in a lot of product communities in India. Like one of them is the product folks. I used to regularly attend like weekend events and just like hear people talk about how they build products and stuff. It was very exciting. So then, like I spent about a year as an analyst and like going to these kind of events, and then I like landed my first product role at a startup. Uh, it was a conversational AI startup called Yellow AI,
Mm.
and started with as a product marketing internship, then did an analytics, and then like got a PM role at a startup,
Mm.
and got into product.
Nice. Okay, great. I want to ask a follow-up question because that all of this aligned to product role. You figured out that you want to be product manager, and then you still pursued masters in computer science, which is like slightly interesting. That is like, why did you not go like a different major?
So I think like over my course of PMing at the conversational AI startup, I figured out that like one of the most essential stakeholders that you work with is engineering. So
Mm.
you need to be able to understand what they are speaking, the challenges they are able to go through. So and like also like in cases help them guide towards a better solution, or in case if like of course they are more expert than like a regular PM, but then like they be able to figure out like problems that they are facing, and helping them navigate those challenges also is something that I wanted to get better at. And understanding architectures or like different kind of tech stacks that are used, what does a tech stack look like for a consumer app versus a business app, or something like a customer relationship management tool, like what all those tech stacks look like, is something that I wanted to know a little bit more of. So that's why I decided to pursue masters in computer science. And even then, like the course that I pursued at ASU was slightly flexible, where I got to study a little bit of human computer interaction also.
Mm.
So making sure we run those usability studies, understand the like qualitative research, quantitative research, and making sure that like user interactions with a particular product or an interface are very well thought through.
Yeah, yeah. So more like a UX designer person would go through that thing. Got it. Okay. Um, Still fascinating to me that you didn't go for like engineering management or MIS or something like that. I like the approach that you're like, okay, I'm going to go for computer science because I want to understand how to talk to engineers and API and tech stacks and all of it. But then the challenge comes in. You're doing masters in computer science. Now you have to again convince employers that, hey, I'm really actually good PM. So that transition must be also very interesting. Did you face that challenge at all, that where you're doing masters in computer science but then you have to convince people that I'm actually looking for product roles?
That's a good question, Yudi. So, like, since I started my masters, the only thing that I was applying for, or only kind of roles that I was applying was were product.
Hmm.
And at least like I was fortunate enough to have a product role before my masters also,
Yeah.
so that worked a little bit. But then what I also had to do was like I took up a fellowship, which is like is allowed for international students. I checked, and this is like a pro bono consulting kind of work, where you are actually figuring out a solution for a user problem. So the one that I was working for is actually building an app that makes kids in Latin America better readers. Like teachers would teach a lot of content, but that kids might forget, or like that age they are very nascent and
Mm.
stuff. So,
Mm.
so making sure they are like effectively learning. So like I figured out a way to find build an external project
Hmm.
while being here in my masters. That
Hmm.
also helped me. And the third thing that helped me a little bit was like I was working as a UX researcher on campus. So my goal was to actually make sure that the university's interfaces, like a student facing app, the professors facing app, and every sort of information that's available to student helps them get their goals better. So
Hmm.
like
Hmm.
holistically it helped me make a better pitch as a PM to the recruiters.
I'm gonna, like, again, this is my mind blowing that you worked as a UX researcher on campus. Tell me more, like, like, how did you find it? Because this is like not an like typical on campus job people approach for. I know that there are a lot of on campus job on ASU campus as a software engineer. People work in that theater thingy, and right. So I was there on ASU campus, so I know that. But UX researcher, very interesting. How did you find it? How did it came about?
So this is pretty interesting. I like I was applying to a lot of roles on the university portal wherever student jobs opened in, and this like particular interview happened in like the holiday season when I was not expecting like to do any interviews. But like I had a very candid conversation about how my previous role was in product, and how like my skills would help like the team at ASU conduct their UX researches more effectively.
Hmm.
So and like it was a little bit of a help for me as well, because as a PM I still need to understand how research functions. So why not just like step into their shoes for some time and
Hmm.
do the things that they do on a daily basis. So
Hmm.
that was a very very insightful like on
So
campus.
it was something you found online and you just applied for it and you got a call back, and then is that how it worked out?
Yep, that's how it worked out.
Gotcha. Okay, awesome. Hey, before we move on to the next part of the video, I want to quickly talk about our newsletter community, which you can be part of absolutely free. We are now going strong and we have more than 40,000 people in our newsletter community. So imagine 40,000 people are receiving my newsletter every single week, twice a week, where I break down all of the stories that we did and make it a valuable resource for you. So if you're someone who doesn't have time to watch this and you just want to get an email with all of the resources into an email, that is the place to be. I'll put the link in the description. I'll give you some example. This is the one for Tanvi, where how she got 2 co-ops and she paid off her entire master's fees. This is an example of Maya, where she got 3 co-ops and she paid off her fees plus a little bit of savings. Here is an example of Sahil, who got his green card in 3 years. Here is an example where we shared bunch of resources on job hunting. So I promise this is going to be valuable resource for you, and it doesn't cost you anything. If you want to be part of our newsletter community, link will be in the description, or you can go to link.udj.com/newsletter. This is the URL. And now I'll let you enjoy the video. Cool. I want to switch gears and go into more specific of like full-time job internship. When, like, timeline wise, you came in fall 2021. When did you start applying, or like what was the, when did you like start thinking about internships and full-time?
I think the day I landed.
Nice. Okay, cool. And
uh,
then what was the first thing that you did?
Yeah. So I think like one of the reasons why I started thinking about it the day I landed was also because I was surrounded with like bunch of people who are also thinking about the same thing. So I was like, okay,
Mm.
like the influence was good on me.
Peer pressure was there.
Yeah, peer pressure, but also like good influence on me. So I was like, okay, like it will help me like land
Mhm.
something sooner, right? So I think the first few things that I did was first is like I scouted for like Slack communities that are there where like I could search for PMs like in general. So I came across things like Product School, Product Buds, the Product Folks, and such like that. So those channels are like a huge resource of just talking to PMs or understanding like what's going on in product space. The second one was I scouted for like product boards, for example product job boards also. So there is something called built-in, then there is like APM list, which is a GitHub maintained repo, then there is angel.co. So there are like a lot of like these nascent boards where jobs are posted along with LinkedIn as well.
Mm.
Third thing that I did was I started like enrolling myself into mock interviews. I just like deep dive into these the cadence of getting into mock interviews. uh, I learned about what kind of problem statements are asked or questions are asked, like things like product case question, RCA kind of question, behavioral questions, and stuff like that. And I started preparing those. The fourth thing that I did was, and this is like probably within the first 3-4 weeks, like
Wow. So within the first 3-4 weeks, you are like actually doing mock interviews, even though you don't have interview scheduled. But you're like, okay, I'm gonna just deep dive into this.
yeah,
Obviously, within the first few weeks, you also joined the communities, product communities. You were specifically looking for product job boards, which are which are designated for like APMs, like associate product managers, and all of it. And so these are the three things you mentioned. You were continuing the list. I'm assuming you probably did some networking and all of it as well.
yes, those are the like one and like fourth and the fifth thing. So fourth thing that I kind of did was like started doing market research. Now what market research meant for me was I subscribed to a lot of product newsletters, like your Lenny's newsletter, product schools newsletter, Akash Gupta's book newsletter, which was very
Mm.
very informative.
Yeah.
And along with product, I also did VC related newsletters, like what are startups that are getting funded right now, what space is very, like, very lucrative
Mm.
in terms of technology. So that, like that, I think helped me, like whenever I was doing a mock interview or so, looking for a creative solution in a product question, like that,
Mm.
like I could connect the dots. I didn't know I could, but it in hindsight, it helped me out. uh,
Mm.
the fifth thing that I did was I looked for like PMs in like PM people in my community who had actually, or in university, who had actually done a product internship last summer. I
Mm.
connected with them. I talked to them. Like a lot of them were also like folks who were pursuing their MBA, but they were flexible enough to actually walk me through their journey. And I also got involved in the local product management club at ASU, which was also a good exposure for me into like networking and yeah, I used to reach out to PMs across companies that I'm interested in to learn about their story and hopefully start networking there.
Mm. And this is just purely networking, like you're reaching out to them, not necessarily for jobs
Yeah,
or
just
internship. You're just like, hey, I'm curious and I want to just connect and learn about more about your industry. Is that right?
yeah, that's right.
Nice. Okay, cool. I'm assuming you also joined like some student clubs. Were there student clubs at ASU?
Yeah, yeah. The product management club was the one that I joined at ASU, which was like very close to uh, the function overall, and also like was very nascent and was starting out. So I joined my first semester as a volunteer student, but then eventually I got like into a full formal
As a
position.
position, yeah, amazing, cool. Love it, love so this is the mile, I mean, benchmark you're setting for all the aspiring PM. So again, just to reiterate, you had like roughly 1 year of a solid PM experience before
Yes.
coming to United States, and maybe one internship in product marketing.
Yep.
You came to do masters in computer science,
Hmm.
and then you knew that my goal is to get product role.
Yep.
Now, five things you mentioned that you did. Number one, again, I'm not going to go in the order, but the
Fine.
number one thing is networking. Is like, I think you
Yes.
said you reached out to bunch of people, your alumni, people who got the internships, online people who are in the product world, and trying to learn as much as you can.
Yep.
Then you started looking for jobs which are specifically listed in the job boards which are targeting PM roles.
Yes.
Then market research, which is very interesting. Like you said, I think you mentioned Morning Brew
Yes.
to me as well. Like, and basically you subscribed to newsletters which are specific towards product or content which is towards product world.
Yeah.
Even VC worlds to understand what startups are hiring, how much money they have made, and all of it.
Yep.
So that's like three things. Then of course then you started doing mock interviews, which was very interesting. You don't even have the interviews lined up, but you're like, okay, I need to get started because I need to practice my product case interviews and behavior interviews and so on and so forth. um, uh, Anything else I'm missing? I think those are the things you mentioned.
And Slack communities.
Slack communities, which again comes under the networking umbrella, but yeah,
Yeah.
you join few Slack communities which are very specific to product. I would love to, like, after the podcast, maybe I can collect all these resources and put it in a document so people can get it, after the session. And I know
Def-
we talked about off camera. Hopefully, I can meet you in person. You are in Bay Area, 3 hours drive for me, so hopefully I can come down and we can do this more, a second round of it as well.
Definitely.
Okay, cool. So walk me through then day one you started internship hunt, full-time hunt. You're preparing all this within 3-4 weeks. When did you start getting interview calls, and what about resume? Like, when did you start working on resume? Because I'm assuming you had to have resume as well.
Yeah. So I think resume I started working on before I like landed the masters or started my masters, because I was like with also CS I was considering programs like business analytics as well, and
Hmm.
those require B schools require you to have like a very business centric or a PM centric resume. And so
Hmm.
like fortunately for me I had done a little bit of groundwork back then. And then like whenever through those networking chats, like in case if a PM found the like was ready to help out, I would definitely share my resume and make sure that like I get some feedback on it. And
Hmm.
resume was a continuous iteration, I would say,
So
throughout.
day one you are like still iterating on your resume.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. When did the okay, go ahead.
Yeah. And in terms of the internship, so like it was very interesting. The first interview that I ever got was like within the first week, and I was talking to a startup PM founder, and he was looking for like an early PM in his career, and he was figuring out an hypothesis, and he wanted to build a product on it. And like we had a chat about like an hour or so, and he was like, okay, yeah, like what are you doing next summer? Let's go get together and build a product. But then I said, hey, I'm an international student, I need a visa and stuff, so what, like, do you not have that logistics covered? And then unfortunately that didn't work out, but I at least got a hang of, okay, this is like the kind of interviews that might come up in the future. And
Mm.
I think like I started getting interview calls about 2.5 months in, like when I after I landed, so about like November-ish. And I had about 3 calls from like various companies there. And most of them were scheduled in like first was a recruiter call, and then there would be like they would like understand my profile, my background, and how they like the kind of internship offering that they have. And then like we would, based on that, we would go to like a hiring manager call or a product case interview question.
Hmm. And was there, and this is for summer internship, right? Did you
Yes.
have summer internship?
Yes.
Okay. Was it in eBay or somewhere? It was in eBay. And that eBay converted into full time?
Yes, that's right.
Okay. Did you have any other offers than eBay?
Yes, I had 2 offers.
Okay, cool. So let's break down eBay. Again, not just eBay, but you had multiple job offers. Was there a strategy that you were focusing on, that, okay, I'm only going to apply to this, or when applying, I'm going to change my resume, all of it, to make it like relevant to it? What, like, basically, was there a strategy even in product, that I'm going to focus on niche, or you were applying to all kind of product roles?
So I did a mix of both qualitative and quantitative. So I like figured out companies that would match to my profile,
Hmm.
and I tweaked my resumes for those specifically. But then I also did a quantitative one where I had a PM resume formatted, which would work for like most like companies in a particular domain, let's say e-commerce. So then I would like apply with that resume to other like companies as well. So there, like I did a mix of both qualitative and quantitative.
Interesting. So, again, very fascinating perspective. You're not saying job description or jobs, you're saying companies.
Yes.
So, I'm assuming this, so in your case, did you have like the first step of, here are the list of companies, and these companies match what I have done and my profile, and then here are the list of companies aspiring, good companies, and I'm gonna do the quantitative? Because most people open the LinkedIn and they will type data analyst, product manager, look at the jobs, start applying. In your case, you're using word company, so it's like, so am I understanding it right? Like, is that the strategy that you used?
Yes, I like use companies before that. So instead of just going to job level, also I also like looked at what the company is, what the space is, and how can I tweak my resume to match
How
to that.
did you come up with the list of companies?
So this is like very interesting and something I've read on a blog or like maybe one of those newsletters that I was subscribed to. So it said that like one of the easiest ways to find companies is actually look at all the venture capitalist firms portfolios,
Hmm.
and they would have funded I like most companies that are like in tech, right? So you would get like a huge list of companies that are funded, and then these VC firms also have a thing called jobs in our portfolio of companies. So
Hmm.
then you would also have access to, hey, like for example, this is funded by Sequoia, and then there are like 20 jobs in PM that are open within this company. So not only do you get the list of companies, but you also get the list of jobs that are open for that VC.
Hmm. Interesting. Okay. So list of companies. Then you found in that company which company is hiring for what internship role, and then you made some qualitative approach where you did knew that this is more closely, so I should pay special attention.
Yeah.
This I'm interested, but I don't think I fit. But I'll use like the best PM resume I can.
Yes, that's right.
Okay. Interesting, super interesting. I'm like loving every piece of this conversation. In terms of getting interview calls, so again there are referrals and then there are cold application. Which did you do, both or did you do one or the other, and what worked out in your case to get interview calls?
I did both. Although like applying directly worked because
Hmm.
it was an internship. I think at least for eBay, like referrals are not considered during an internship, but I am sure there are other companies that cover through. So I did like both, like talking to PMs and making sure that can I can you refer me, and also like applying through the job portals as well.
Okay. And then I know you were already preparing for mock interviews, and this is like, did you use any tools, resources for interviews prep, or was it just purely like your career resources at the university?
So I used a couple of resources. One was the Lewis Lynch Slack community. So there is like an Excel of like PPMs that are interviewing right now. I just and they everyone had their Calendly link, so I would just go and like get a slot wherever like it's available for them and for me as well. Then
Hmm.
I did Stellar Peers. Stellar Peers is a good resource as well, where you could like it's an entire Google Calendar which you can integrate within your Google Calendar and just look at like people actually interviewing, and based on whenever I used to get time, I used to like make a slot with big PMs that are interviewing right now.
Okay, got it. And I know you didn't get interview call through referral for eBay, but you did do networking. One of the complaints I hear from the student is that people are not responding to me, and I want to ask you, in your experience, how did you navigate where I'm assuming not everyone responded to you. So, one, did that demotivated you, discourage you that like people are not responding, and then how did you overcome that? And then two, was there a special strategy in getting connected with the people and then eventually getting on a call with them?
Good question. So I think one thing that like I said, I kept two things in mind. One was like people might be generally busy, like people who are working full time might have higher projects or bigger things to do than like just referring a student, which of course they will, but like they might be busy, so it is like okay to like not hear back from them. And what I did was I kept like a 1% rule in mind, which is I just expected maybe 1% of people to reply back to me, and that just motivated me to apply and like talk to more people or reach out to more people as much as I can.
Hmm. And when you say reach out, you mean LinkedIn reach out?
Yeah.
Okay. Is there a specific templates you would use that, okay, I'm going to say this, or like what would you, how did you connect with them?
So like before connecting, I would like click on like connect request, but then I would also send a note that hey, like I'm a student, I'm interested in learning about your journey, and like hopefully like looking forward to hearing back from you. Like those are the kind of things that I use. But I also like had versions of that cold connection request where I might like request for like a referral in case like they are from my university or from my undergrad as well.
Okay. Um, and then maybe even taking a step back, how did you find these people? And then, yeah, like if you can if you have templates to share, like if you don't mind sharing, that'll be also amazing.
Yep, I will share those. So I think like in terms of finding people, I had two approaches. One was like just look at companies that I'm interested in. So let's say eBay was one. And I used to go to eBay company profile, and then there would be employees. And if you click on employees, there is like huge amount of filters, people in the Bay Area, people who are actually working as a PM. And like if you just select those filters, you will get the list of profiles that match your requirement. So then you would just like go and reach out to those people. The second one, which I realized much later, was a AI based tool, which is called careerpath.ai or careerflow.ai. So what that does is it's basically like layer on top of the Google search. So what it does is like you have to enter your company name, like for example eBay, and you are supposed to enter like let's say product manager and your areas of expertise. So let's say it's e-commerce, it's AI, it's Tableau, or it's SQL, whatever, right? So and once you hit enter there, you would get a list of profiles of hiring managers that are looking to hire people in their team, which I think was a trick that I learned much later on, but would have been very helpful.
Okay. And so, and I think also in the simple trick is if you just go to, LinkedIn search bar and then type hiring manager, product manager, and put it in the asterisk, like double inverted commas, and just add the word and, it should probably bring the same similar result, if not same. So yeah, so you then started sending the message, and I know you said you will send the template, so I'll add those templates, and then you'd get on a call. What would you talk on that call, on the coffee chat?
So I would I would have two to three things or three questions in mind. One is like understanding their personal story of how they landed into the company. The other was like what are some exciting projects that they are working on, if they are allowed to share, or just like what makes PMing at that company very fruitful, very like cool. And also what is their projection of, okay, like if this company has to evolve into like a huge space, like grow into more revenue or just acquire more customers, what are their potential ideas? Just pick their brains around understanding the product space within that company.
And again, so you're approaching it more from a curiosity
Yes.
perspective. Yeah.
Yes.
You're not saying, can you refer me at this
Yeah.
point?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you ever say, can you refer me?
Maybe after like uh 3-4 weeks down the line or something. Like, so what I would do is I would like have sense of curiosity, and now because I know some amount of their journey, if I find some interesting LinkedIn post or something that they're looking for, and it came into my feed, I will just like share it across with them and get their thoughts about it. And
Mhm.
like that would spark a mini conversation over time. And I think like probably knowing about 3-4 weeks into the line, I would like request that, hey, like I am also interested in like pursuing a position, let me know if you can refer me. And then I would share my profile and go on with it.
Yeah, that's a good point. So, same thing. So, obviously, a lot of people try to send me a request and try to get on a call with me. I do some one-on-one calls as well. So, this student, when they met me I think they met me in person in the conference I was in. And she was smart enough. She did the same curiosity, like what do I do, personal side, professional side. Obviously, she knows I'm a content creator, and then she was very diligent in asking me what were my pain points and what are like my problem statement, which is what product managers do. And so she understood, like, okay, I'm like struggling with some of the creator type of thing. And so then she came across like some post or some resource or a conference, and she's like, hey, this came to me, I thought it would be interesting for you to check it out. Like, I just thought of you as the first person came to my mind. And so I was like, I had completely forgotten that person, but now she reminded me who she was. And it's just the reciprocity. Like, she has done something for me, now I feel like I need to do something for her. Like, I need
Yeah.
to do something for her. So genuinely, I also feel like, okay, is there any way I can help you, kind of thing. And then I can. She's like, hey, by the way, I saw you are connected to this person. would you mind like helping me connecting with them? I'm actually having an interview with this. It's like, okay, cool. So what like that is, I think that is a better way to network, when you try to approach it from curiosity versus, hey, can you give me a job offer type of thing.
Yeah, I think, and that you have summarized it pretty well. It's actually like making sure that you have a perspective of giving first, and making sure how could you be of help to the person you are networking with, and then eventually making like thinking or like exploring conversations with them rather than just going with, hey, can you please help me out.
Okay. Obviously, I want to also talk about like time management. How much time did you spend doing all of this? Because you had your coursework, you had your on-campus job, you had your daily chores, cooking and doing all of that. Plus, you also have to find an internship and networking. How did you manage your time? Like, what did your day look like?
So I think as a student, so initially, like first half of my day was actually devoted to the on-campus job, which is UX research. Then I would have afternoon classes, and as soon as I would be done with classes, and this is during my internship hunt phase, I would like immediately come back and like start looking for opportunities, or like making, and then I would schedule a mock interview or two in the evening, like an hour slot with PM, so that because that's when also like PMs working full time will have more time to mock
Mm.
interview. And then and then like cooking, of course, like we had a bunch of like friends over, so we would like batch prep and stuff, so that was pretty helpful. And I think like during the weekends I would double down more on the mock interviewing aspect, and even between classes, let's say like in afternoons I had time, I would just like go on and apply positions that I found were relevant to me.
Mm. It's so fascinating that you double down on interview prep more than getting an interview. Why is that?
I always felt that like given that you keep applying, you will always get a call. It's just a matter of time. But then like once you get a call, it's up to you to be very well prepared and make sure you are at your best foot, so that like you make the hiring team's job easier of like selecting you, because now you're very well prepared and you are at your best. Like they are like, okay, look, we can definitely move forward this with this. So that's
Mm.
what my thought process was.
Okay, got it. So switch. Was there? So eBay was the only interview call, or did you have more interview calls for the
I had
internship?
I in this I had about 8 interview calls.
Oh wow. Okay, eight. And when you say eight, meaning eight different companies.
Yes,
Okay, all of them direct application, or some of them through networking?
some of them through networking as well. Yes.
How did the networking, because direct one we know you applied, your resume got picked, and then you got an interview call. Sorry, let me ask you in that direct one as well, like was there anything special you feel like you did, like okay, maybe this is the thing that might have stand out? You don't know, obviously we are making guesses here, but like do you feel like anything that you did, like maybe you tweaked your resume to the job responsibilities, that's why it might have gotten picked?
Yeah, I think tweaking resume was definitely like after like I got those calls, I checked back and I was like, okay, this is where I had tweaked my resume. So like maybe that was something that helped me out. And even to your question about the referral piece, so I like before even the job interview was scheduled, I like reached out to the PM and I was like, hey, like what's like again from the curiosity angle, understanding the org structures, the kind of projects they do, and then also like towards the end of the chat, he explained like the problem statements that he was looking at and like challenges that he was facing. So one of them was maybe A/B testing at a large scale, and then I came across like an A/B testing framework which I sent it over to him, and then like he proactively reached out to me saying that, hey, look, we are looking for PM interns, and please send me your resume, like I'll connect with your recruiter, and like
Hmm.
following week the like interview was scheduled also.
Nice. Okay. And this coffee chats, again, you find the people, you have the list of company, you find the people, you go to their LinkedIn page, or Slack communities, all of this different, there's like a web of things, like right over here. And then
Yes.
you distill down to the list of people.
Yeah.
You send them a ring request to get on a coffee chat with you. You get on a coffee chat, you're purely approaching from a curiosity perspective, and the conversations you are having is like, okay, what are they doing, what kind of problems are they solving, what is their company facing, and all of that. Is that,
Yeah.
and then you try to find something that you can offer as a value, like, hey,
Yes.
article, conference, etc. And
Yes.
then one of them turned into an interview call.
Yes, that's right.
Is that any other examples you have, or is this the same process?
So I think it's the same process, but I think one thing that I also did, like before, like getting that sense of curiosity or get coming up with a like list of questions that I want to talk about, I generally also like read a few S1 documents. So S1 documents are basically like strategy documents or things that companies publicly write about the challenges that they're facing, the key metrics that they are targeting, who their consumers look like, and like what
Hmm.
is like upcoming roadmap. So now, before even meeting like that person in the company, I have some idea about how the company is supposed to like function previously, now, and then like in the future as well. And so that like definitely helped me out also.
इतना टाइम लाते कहाँ से हो आप? Because that's what I feel like. That's a lot of work. So how did you keep going? Because it is a lot of work.
Yeah, I think I was just so everything I was doing, I just had a mindset of, okay, in the sea of like hundreds of no's or whatever, I'm just looking at one yes. So as far as that comes through, I'm fine putting in like as much work as required.
Yeah, yeah. I think the director at Purdue, I was talking, and we did a talk together, and he said, I know you apply for thousands of jobs, but you only need one job offer.
Yeah.
And yeah, so okay, cool. So you got the interview calls, resume, and all of it. I don't know if you have resume handy. Again, I'm throwing out loud. If you have it, I would love to like see if what kind of structure you had for PM resume. If not, maybe you can just like verbally talk through it.
Yeah, I think I can verbally share about the resume. So I think the first section was like my education of like undergrad and grad school, and then immediately after that, I started with the most recent full time PM roles. And what I did within the PM role is the anatomy is the company name, where are they headquartered at, one liner about what space they are in. Are they a edtech company, a SaaS company, a e-commerce company, whatever. And then on the same lines, I would have the time that I was there at, and then within like I would have max of 3 to 5 bullet points on the projects that I did.
Mm,
And it were framed in a way that PM would actually like my PM functionality would, or PM role would actually be highlighted. All those bullet points had number one like the explanation of problem statement or like what impact I had. And I tried to inculcate any sort of metrics that I was allowed to.
mm. Okay, nice. Okay, so now going back to you were getting interview calls. Obviously, you were already preparing for mock interviews. So now, if you can walk me through like an interview process for PM, that'll be amazing. And then how did your preparation come in? Like, did you do something different for your interview prep?
Okay, good question, Yudi. So I think I did two things. One is make sure that I understand from the recruiter what are the kind of questions, or like at least what are the kind of questions that I would be expected to answer during the interview process. For
Mm,
example, is it like more focused on my behavior, my background, or also focused on understanding the product case questions, so on and so forth. So as soon like as I got the understanding, I made sure I did more of those kind of questions before the interview itself. Then the other thing I did was I looked at again the S1 document, reviewed myself, and then like came up with a few questions that would be very intriguing, and like also like again would help show that I am curious about the role. And towards the end, whenever the interview was done, I was like, and I was given a minute or two to ask a question. I already would have like one or two questions in my mind of, hey, this is what I would want to ask the interviewer. So
mm.
I think that really helped like me battle a little bit of the interview anxiety, and also just make me like stand out in terms of like the questions that I'm asking.
And what are the rounds in terms of eBay? Not necessarily just eBay, but like PM interviews.
Yes. So initial was a recruiter screening call where I was supposed to explain very high level about the spaces that I worked in and the impact I had. Then follow on would be a product case question, where example, like how do you design products X, or how do you design your favorite product, tell me about it, so on and so forth. Then I would have like root cause questions, like, hey, let's say something was not working in last week, or the metrics have gone down, figure out reasons why. Then I would have a good amount of behavioral question round as well, like probably with the hiring manager, which is like they would double down, they would open up my resume and like ask me questions around my previous experience, and think and ask me how I stood out, or what was my approach in a particular project as well. Now,
Mm.
one thing that I did, like I was like I it helped me was in the behavioral questions. I started like behavioral preparation way early on. And there is, with every work experience or every project that you have, you always have an idea of mind of, okay, this is how the project progress, and you write it down on the notes that you want to this is how I'd like to share as an interviewee. But then when you actually do mock interviews, you kind of like figure out how easy it is for the other person to understand, how much context you are missing out, how difficult it is for the person to remember things that you have said within the last 2 minutes.
Mm.
So those are the kind of things that like help me in the behavioral interviews as well. And I think one like first ever behavioral interview mock that I did was with a senior PM at a company. And I was like, because I thought that this is the best version of my answer, and like, and then towards the end, the PM told me that, hey, like, this doesn't seem like you have a lot of thought clarity. Make sure that you provide context to the person you are talking to. Of course,
Mm.
the work might be good, but the person will not appreciate what you have done until you help them understand how difficult the problem was, or
Mm.
how complex it was for you to stand out. And then he also told me that, like, think about this: at the end of the call, you are actually asking the company that you're interviewing with for like hundreds of thousands of dollars in salary. So you have to make sure that the stories you're telling, or the experiences that you are sharing, is worth their time.
Mm. Can you give me specific example of this, the same thing that you did a mock interview with senior PM, and where you were missing the context? Like, what does that mean? Maybe give like an example that would help people understand. Like, okay, this is what you mean by context setting.
Yep. So one of the the experiences that I was about to share had something like very complex on the project details. So for example, we had evaluated a particular model which worked okay, then we had evaluated another model which had higher accuracy but like took more context setting, or required more training data. And then like we were supposed to deliver either of these models in the enterprise landscape, and we were also at a tight deadline. Now what so happened was that like we decided to choose the other, like the second model, uh, and then evaluated. But then after the launch, it seemed that like the model was not performing as our actual research was. So then we went back to the drawing board and like figured out, hey, how could we handle this? Now this is like the exact story that I told, but now, like, this is prior meeting to the PM. But after meeting the PM, like I tweaked it a little bit and explained, like, this is the model which is state of the art by this model, by this research team, and it is utilized as a industry standard. And then similarly, like, explain the bit of the other model as well. And then I also spend more time explaining the timelines that we had, the
Mm.
complexity of, like, if we went wrong here, what would it mean for the enterprise, what would it mean for our contract with the enterprise, stuff like that. So like I provided more background setting as well, and then like actually said that, hey, this
Mm.
is some tweak that we had to do to make sure that our customers needs were met, and were like thriving.
Nice, love it. Any other resources you would recommend for PM interview preparation?
So I have one, like I used to refer to one particular resource by a Slack community called Product Buds. I will
Mm.
share that with you so you can like share with the group as well. But it actually includes, like, it is a very good document of how the different kind of products are, what are the kind of questions you might be asked, and like things like good books to read, what you could read, and like what all like are something that you could read to get better as a PM after you land a role as well.
Mm. Did you read any books?
Yeah. So I had a couple of them. I used to read Swipe to Unlock. Then I had Crossing the Chasms. Then Creative Selection. Then I think there's one called the Mom Test, which I love the most. Like you have to
Yeah, it's the best one. I have it too. It's so tiny, but it's obviously written by an engineer who turned into a product. So, yeah, I love it too. How to ask better questions for your from your users. Yeah.
exactly. And I was very curious to how to get better at the art of asking questions, and that is when I came across a concept called eigen questioning. So
Hmm.
eigen questioning is is a framework, I think, that is introduced by Coda.io. And what they do is like they frame the same question in a way where the answers which were supposed to be ambiguous but now are just simple yes and no. I will
Hmm.
share that as well, so that you can paste it up in
Yeah.
your.
Yeah. That's amazing. This has been such an insightful conversation. Now I want to take you back. This probably might be a longer answer, but I'm okay with it. Uh, I'm setting the context for you because you just taught me, like, have a thought clarity. So, setting the context, let's say Shreemad had to go back in timeline in 2020. You do not have any work experience. So, you don't have any PM work experience. You're doing your undergrad in IT or computer science or any other background. You see the podcast of mine and you're like, I love product world, I want to become a product manager. At this point, what would be the typical roadmap you would follow to become a product manager? Now that you have been in the industry, you have gone through the entire journey, like, if you can, like, briefly talk about, like, okay, if giving this situation, here's how I would build my profile and here's what I would do to become a product manager in United States.
Yep. Good question. So I think me imagining back in 2020, I just came across your podcast and I found it was very helpful, and this is something I want to become. One thing I would like immediately start doing is like
Or
think
maybe
about.
let's switch slightly a little bit. You're watching this podcast in 2025 and you do not have any work experience. You are in your final year of your undergrad and you are hoping that you want to do masters in United States because you want to build your career here and you want to be a product manager, but you do not have any product experience. So what would you do?
I think first thing that I would do is just like figure out what all product management entails as a function. Like what are different kinds of PMs out there? Like what is a business PM? What is the consumer PM? What is a platform PM? Such and such, and then try to find out like what are thought leaders in this space. So, for example, who are like greatest examples of business PMs? Then who are consumer PMs and platform PMs as well? And then like I would figure out like are there any resources that are already existing about the day in a life of a PM on like challenges that they face, what kind of problems they understand like have to tackle day in day out. The other thing I would do is once I have like good amount of understanding of the role itself and key thought leaders there, I would go and talk to like actual PMs surrounding that are like in the industry as well, and understand, hey, like this is what my understanding is, and from a curiosity angle again. The other thing I would do is I would start working on a problem statement myself. Just talk to let's say I just like it could be as simple as build a to-do list, but
Hmm.
I want to get into a framework of asking people what are their thoughts when a to-do list comes to mind, what are their goals when they're trying to use this product, and understanding the user psyche, making sure those are translated into actual requirements or a feature. And then I would like, if I don't have the skill set, I would like actually work with a designer or an engineer to actually build that out. And it doesn't necessarily have to be like the best product out there, but it has to have the function, and it has to like teach me the entire life cycle of talking to people, making sure you build something, and then you like actually evaluate and iterate, right?
Hmm.
So building side projects has definitely will definitely help me out in understanding the process. And then I would also like read books of like previous PMs, or like for example Creative Selection is one which talks about how Apple's keyboard design, the QWERTY keyboard, came into the digital realm, how they were actually translating like from the physical buttons into the realm. That was a very interesting book, so I would like figure out like, hey, what are books that I could read to understand the challenges that people have faced in the past.
Hmm. Okay, I'm gonna rephrase what you just said. First step is, okay, what is PM? What are the different types of PM? What are the skills required? What do they do in day to day? What are the challenges? Who are the thought leaders in this? And then try to find the communities and join these communities. Connect with the actual PM who are working. Try to understand what does their day look like. What are problem they're solving? What are the skills that they have? Because you are trying to introspect yourself to figure out what do I not have so that I can become that. And then you will also do some side projects where you are figuring out whether it is a to-do list or building a coffee you want to make or whatever product it is. You are figuring out a problem statement, building that problem, solving that problem statement through a product. Now the question is, and you would read books and watch content and all of it. Would you do some work experience before coming to United States in the current state?
That's a good question. I think answer totally is depends on the experience that you have had. So in case you have had this kind of an experience in your projects itself, like at an undergrad, and it is valuable, and it would like you are able to show it actually to the recruiting teams, it definitely is okay to just come through directly for masters and start applying for PMs. But it doesn't hurt you to get some real experience in India, and actually, or like place that you're joining from, and then actually start masters or MBA or whatever pursue like career that you want to pursue, and then actually apply for a PM.
Hmm.
Because I think one of the advices that I got recently was that PM space is definitely competitive. So in case you want to get into PM but are not able to, just try to find out adjacent roles to PM. So think about product operations, product owners, product marketings, product marketing managers, product analysts, and stuff like that. And then like think, just get into the door, and then eventually you will definitely get into a product manager role.
Yeah, I would also agree, but I would, in current job market, I would say get work experience, because you will have a lot of stories to tell, unless again, like you said, if you've done enough of product work, you have multiple internships in your bachelor's, maybe. But in my scenario, this person is in civil engineering, industrial engineering, mechanical engineering, have no product background. I think it's going to be extremely difficult for this person to survive and get a job, when there are so many people who have like years of experience in product, and you're competing with these people. So it's going to be challenging. So my recommendation would be to get work experience. So then you get to understand the industry, like how industry actually work as a product. So then it's much better to make connections. You can ask much thoughtful questions versus just some random questions and all of it. Now they are landed in, at this point they have landed in United States. They're pursuing their masters, let's say in ASU. Anything different you would do, that you've done in your journey, go back in time and it's like, okay, if I had a magic wand and I can go back, here's what differently I would do, here are the things I would do differently.
This is product designing my career journey.
Yeah.
But I think one thing that I would do is like do more networking as soon as I like come
Hmm.
in, and just make sure I learn about enough problem statements, enough people or enough companies that are out there, just like understanding their spaces, so that I could be at a much more advantage of like whenever I'm doing a product case question or like even mock interviewing. It just helps me like connect the dots later on how people are actually solving it, right?
Hmm.
The other thing that I would do is I did a few of those, but I would attend like online conferences of job fairs. Now it doesn't necessarily mean that you have like don't have to attend your offline ones that are conducted by universities, but also find out online career fairs that are organized, which you can attend. And I think like you can just Google search it out. There are a few, I think Afrotech. Then there is I don't think GHC is allowed for guys, but then there is ASU's fair as well. Then there would be a lot of like colored people in tech, a lot of such conferences that are out there. So you could actually, so I would start attending those conferences, and these conferences are very good resource for you to share your profile and understand like what all recruiting teams are looking for when they actually start the application processes.
Yeah, love it. Yeah, I mean, there's product con as well. Even though
Yes.
GHC is not, I mean, guys do attend. It is primarily for women, but they do attend. There's also same for Society of Women Engineers. Guys do attend, but there are also product conferences, like you said. Product con is there in that happens in San Francisco. Typically, a lot of companies would have their keynotes as well and
Yeah.
conferences as well, so people can go and attend those too. But yeah, I 100% agree. This has been great. I love it. I love what we've talked about so far, and I can't wait to do it again. But before we wrap, any final words of wisdom for people who are right now in the grind of finding a internship or a full-time job?
Good question again, and it has been a great time talking to you, and definitely looking to continue this conversation. I think, like, to the listeners of this podcast, I would like to say one thing, which is, I know you're going through a very difficult phase right now. Like, job hunting might be slightly difficult, but at the end of the day, you are just looking for one opportunity. You are not however difficult the market might be. You don't need to worry about the entire market and its job opportunities. You just need to worry about what opportunity you will get, and make sure you like just keep on trying till you get there.
Yeah, yeah. And I like what you said off camera as well. Like, it's not a zero sum game. So
Yes.
you just need that one opportunity. So don't let the rejection discourage you.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you, Shrimad. I can't wait to visit you. I will be there in Bay Area pretty soon. So I will reach out to you, and hopefully we can film like a part two or on product world and on maybe different topics. Maybe I get to see eBay from inside. I don't know. But can't wait to do this again. Until our next one.
Keep smiling, keep hustling.
Nice.